Bitcoin began in 2009. 2013, we made a high of 1250. That was the first cycle high. 2017, the second cycle high of around 20,000. And here we are 4 years later. So remember, each one is 4 years. So what I'm saying is that as of now, 4 years later, we've hit 65,000. That stands out to me as the cycle high for this cycle, unless proven otherwise.
The first questions I have for both of you: where is Bitcoin heading next? Let's start with you, Gareth.
Okay, so being a chart guy, and I'm short term, so my long-term views, you know that, David, I've said long-term, I do believe it's going to 500,000. Question is, how long is that going to take? Short-term, being a chart guy, I have to focus on that $65,000 high that we recently hit in, I think it was in April. And as long as we stay below that, then technically this is a lower technical high. So again, one of the things I do is I take the emotion out of it. There's so much hype in Bitcoin, but you have to let the chart dictate your moves. So as long as we stay below Bitcoin, I'm in the bearish camp in the near term, even though I'm bullish long term.
Before we get to Florian, I want to understand your methodology first. So how do you read charts? How did you come up with that conclusion? And of course, well, I'll let you answer that first.
All right, so couple things. Number one, Bitcoin began in 2009. 2013, we made a high of 1250. That was the first cycle high. 2017, the second cycle high of around 20,000. And here we are 4 years later. So remember, each one is 4 years. So what I'm saying is that as of now, 4 years later, we've hit 65,000. That stands out to me as the cycle high for this cycle, unless proven otherwise. Meaning that if we take out 65, then that wasn't the cycle high and we could still go higher. But again, the chart has to tell me that before I jump to that conclusion. As much as my gut or my emotion wants to say, yeah, let's do it, let's rah, 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 charts are the king for me.
Florian, I know you also agree that charts, markets, you told me offline earlier, you have to listen to the markets, right? That's what you said. But I think you have a slightly different take in the short term. Tell us your view.
Right. I mean, until I would say 3 weeks ago, I would be probably more agreeing with your point of view. But listening to the market, Bitcoin is just so strong over the last 3 weeks, and it went too far. You cannot really make the bear case anymore. I think it just takes a few more $1,000, $4,000 from here. We take out the high from April, and then we're off to 100K. So what I see is there is this final parabola kind of brewing. So I think it looks like we're gonna run there, and I think until the end of the year, we're gonna see even more crazy crypto party. So that's actually my take now. And just a few weeks ago in your show, I said I was also more like putting my short-term bear head on, but listening to the market, I have to say this is so strong, I cannot be a bear anymore. So I believe we're gonna see a crazy run really until the end of the year now.
So my only concern, so we have this ETF on the futures that debuts next week. So You've seen this massive hype going into that. And if you look at when the Bitcoin futures debuted, I think it was in 2017, that actually was the top. And we actually saw, so here you have the Bitcoin ETF based on futures debuting. Do you see any sort of replication of that event? I mean, is that totally, do you see that coordinated kind of event or not really?
No, I agree that this kind of like sell the news event happened in 2017. It was the top for Bitcoin, not for Ethereum and the altcoins for really another few more weeks. We recently had a sell the news event with the Salvador adoption. I don't think this ETF topic is so huge right now that it would justify a final top. And going into such a top, I don't see any new high, so I don't think argumenting on based on that news coming up, maybe in the next week we're going to see an important new high at the top. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think it's too strong. This rally was too crazy. I mean, I was with you in the same camp until 52. Yes, retracement 61.8%. Okay, now another wave down. It only went down to 40K, and it came all the way back, roaring back, $20,000 within less than 3 weeks. Here we are. Okay, there is something another thing going on. So I'm back in the bull camp. I think it's going to be a crazy run until the end of the year.
Nice.
Before we continue, help us clicking that YouTube like button and subscribe now to our channel. This shows the algorithm that you valued this information. And it helps us spread that message. Sharing is caring. And now, let's continue.
Okay, but let's just back up and talk more fundamentally about this ETF. So just for background information, the US is set to release its first ever Bitcoin ETF very soon. And so Gareth is arguing that it's overhyped. Let's talk about why we're even talking about this. Would either of you buy a Bitcoin ETF? Let's start with Florian first.
No, I'm definitely not a fan of ETFs at all. I mean, we have this discussion from the precious metals for many, many years. I understand that for institutional investors, it's a totally different thing. The retail guys, the small guys, they don't need to buy an ETF. They should buy Bitcoin, put it in their own ledger, cold wallet. That's the way to do it. And the same is true with gold physically in your own hands. Yep. But for the institutional money that need a regulative background, yes, they need an ETF. So that's why the whole scene is so euphoric about an ETF approval.
Gareth? Yeah, so I definitely wouldn't touch the ETF. At a certain price point, I would look for an ETF that's based on Bitcoin itself. I would caution investors that understand what a futures-backed ETF is. It's going to go to zero always, all right? And this is scary, I know. But when you base an ETF on futures, there's a contract rollover. And let's say the current month is $10 and the next month is $11. So they have to sell the current month at $10 and buy the 11, which means they're going to buy less each time, which means the value of that ETF is going to decline. So it's not going to happen overnight, but over the course of months and years, that ETF will always lose value, which is why, honestly, I'm shocked that the SEC approved this one of all of them. Personally, I think that's ridiculous because the average investor doesn't know that. They don't know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it signals institutional confidence in the asset class, which is probably what drove it up. Okay, Florian, you also told me offline about what you believe is, you've discussed this with me before, the concept of a crypto winter. If you look at past cycles, especially after 2017, what happened after 2017? Bitcoin crashed and it stayed low for 3 years. Okay, can it happen again this time?
Definitely it can. I actually would expect it. If we get this parabolic spike over the next few months, I would expect a crypto winter next year. Yeah, for sure.
Gareth, of course, you've looked at the double top that Bitcoin has formed in both 2013 and 2017. We're looking awfully similar to the same pattern, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what we're going to find out here. And what's interesting is that we'll know probably in the next 2 weeks, right? You're either going to bust through 65 and continue up, or it's going to stall out and then continue its way down and correct. So it will definitely have another winter. It's just a matter of is it now or like you're thinking in a 6 months. I don't know when you think that could happen next year.
Mean, probably January, March, somewhere could be the top.
What to do in such a situation? Inform yourself and keep your financial education strong. We from the Compact Group offer our loyal subscribers a free educational portal with first-hand monetary, financial, and economic knowledge. Enter our invite-only Insider Club by clicking the link below. You will get access to first-class information far earlier than the rest. We have prepared a special deal for all our members where you can access a giant pool of Robert Kiyosaki's financial wisdom for just $1. To find out more, simply click the link below and join our Insider Club absolutely free. But there is more you can and should do. Build up several streams of income. More and more people realize that they have to take their future in their own hands, but they don't know how and where to start. We from Compact offer our Insider Club members unique opportunities. Strengthen your financial muscle and get the edge. Click the link below. Become part of our free Insider Club. No financial obligations. But there's one important thing you have to know. You have to become active. So do it now. Become active and see you on the other side.